Hello, Lucy here. Just a reminder to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Whether you're new here or a regular listener, thank you for being part of this journey. We have got so many incredible guests lined up, so stay tuned and subscribe now. That clearly was not the card for today.
Oh, and I was planning my answer.
Do another one and we're saying, if not, I can edit it out and we'll go back to the other one. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Wilderness of Creativity. Thanks for joining us. Today I'm talking to Rebecca Witham. After studying fashion design and spending years in the industry, Rebecca Witham's world shifted when her son arrived early in 2010. Inspired by the lack of clothing for premature babies and later by her daughter's arrival, Rebecca turned late nights and baby groups into the beginning of a brand. Today, she's the proud owner of Snuggles and Kisses, a beautiful children's boutique born from creativity, chaos, and a whole lot of love. In this episode, Rebecca talks about the leap from the fashion industry into launching her growing business from her kitchen table. She opens up about how parenthood has reshaped her perspective on work and life and her purpose. And she lets us into the secret confessions and challenges of running a business around the school run. Rebecca is here to share her wisdom and her insights into what it's really like to take the road less travelled. I do hope you enjoy today's episode. If you do, then remember to hit subscribe and share the episode with a friend. For you is your life is but one big adventure.
Yeah, I think life is. I think you have to see it like that, don't you? I think at times it feels adventurous. At times, I mean, it's a roller coaster, I guess. There's times when you're thinking, this is not an adventure. This is tough. This is grueling. This is, putting one step in front of another. You have periods in your life where things do feel like they're going really well and you feel inspired and things are great. And it does, I would say, it's not one long adventure. It's probably parts adventurous, parts tough.
It's how we creatively navigate those tough periods in our life that often lead us to more adventures and more authenticity and more connection. How did you start off in your early career?
I knew I wanted to get into clothing and design when I was about 11 or 12. My mum, when I was growing up, my mum always used to sew from home. My mum is now my machinist at work, which is lovely. It's come full circle. But I remember as a child, I just remember her laying fabric out on the living room floor, and she had these huge metal shears, and I was just fascinated. And I love the sound. This sounds really bizarre. I love the sound of the shears cutting through the fabric, even from like 4 years old, 5 years old. And then I would just watch in absolute fascination as she sewed all these pieces together and made clothes. And I think from then, I didn't even know fashion design was a thing back then. Obviously, I was spoiled. I was always really creative. I always loved to draw, paint. I used to drive my mum absolutely bonkers because do you remember Blue Peter back in the day when you had to make all these elaborate things every week with washing up liquid bottles, toilet roll holders, and heavy cartons? That was me. So I think it's come full circle now. When my kids want to do crafts, I'm like, no, please, the dining table looks, covered in stuff. That was my mum back then. So that's how the love started. And then I think I made my first ever item of clothing when I was about 12. On my mum's sewing. Oh, I had my own sewing machine by then, I think. Or it might have been on my mum's old one. And just, I sort of taught myself to make patterns, which is a skill I didn't realise was such a skill until I went to sort of university, and I already knew how to do it because I kind of taught myself how to do it as a child. And then as I got older, every weekend I would make my outfit for going out in at the weekend, and I'd have a different one every weekend. So yeah, it was a no-brainer when I left school that I would. I did textiles and art at school, then went on to do fashion design at college, fashion design and technology at Nottingham Trent University, and I studied for 7 years in total, which was, loved it, loved every second of it. And then went straight into the fashion industry and worked in the industry for probably 10 years, I think. So it's literally been my life, really, from
Wow.
day one.
And how lovely as well, like you say, it's come back full circle.
100%. And we sort of bash ideas around together, and I've got that person there. If I say, oh, do you think this colour goes with this? Or how do you think this is going to work if we make the sleeve a bit shorter, or if we add a little frill on here? It's that we've both got that like innate sort of knowledge of how it works. I can't imagine working with anybody else. So, and she's nearing retirement age, so I'm getting a little bit nervous.
I think staying creative or having something creative to do, a hobby which potentially leads you into a career or anything, baking, it does keep you young, doesn't it? It keeps your mind active and can often sort of ensure that you're part of a community.
Yeah, the whole community part of it, of being here and being in this shop, it's just, it's everything. And it's probably what's kept me going at the times when I haven't been making as much money as I need to make. Retail is tough. And I think the thing that's kept me going is I can't imagine not having the community of mums that come in. It's mostly mums. It's not all mums. I get family members, I get dads in, but it's 90% mums. And it's just wonderful. And for me, I feel like that saved me when I opened the shop. I needed that so badly after being a stay-at-home mum for a while. Because the reason I set this business up is because I was made redundant from my design position when I was pregnant, and the rug was just pulled from under me. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting to just go off, have my son, have a maternity leave, go back into full-time work, part-time work, flexible hours. And it was just it. The rug was just pulled. I didn't know what I was going to do. He came prematurely, which I don't know whether was to do with the stress of losing my job. I don't know. There's no proof of that, but it was a whirlwind. I was in NICU with him for weeks because he was very small. And then without a job after maternity leave, was a stay-at-home parent for quite a while, quite a number of years, because I then went on to have my daughter. So I just felt so isolated. I was working from home, doing bits and bobs from home, freelance design, and I'm quite introverted, so I don't mind being at home alone. And I remember thinking, gosh, if me, this introverted person who likes their own company and is happy to be at home normally, is feeling so isolated, what about all those parents, those new mums out there who do thrive on communication and who do thrive on human interaction? It just sort of brought home to me how difficult early parenthood is across the scale for everybody. For me to still have an introverted person to be, so opening the shop to me was like a lifeline, because I had this space to go to that wasn't home. I had human interaction. To be perfectly honest, for me at the beginning, I wasn't even bothered if I made that much money. It just worked for me. Luckily, it went well for me, and I'm still here 9 years later. But yeah, my driving force was that I needed a job. I needed work, obviously. That was the main driving force. But I needed an escape from that sort of being stuck at home.
Just needing to feel like somebody's there with you in that journey. And so, setting up Snuggles and Kisses, and I love that name, by the way. You'll have to tell me where that comes from. It kind of, it became, like you say, that lifeline, and so many people don't have that.
No, exactly. I do feel lucky, and I felt so lucky at the beginning. It was such hard work, and the shop wasn't something I was looking for either. It came to me. It was an opportunity that somebody contacted me about, and I do love when these kind of synchronicities happen in life, and you think, well, that was meant to be. Um, I was just working via a Facebook page at the time. Social media back then, because it was 12 years ago, social media wasn't as huge for businesses. So I just set up a little Facebook page, and I was nowhere near as big as some of the other businesses that were running on social media. And a lovely lady who had this shop previously, it was a ladies' wear business, she just contacted me. I don't know. I think somebody might have been in her shop and told her about what I do. I think that's how it happened. She messaged me late one night and said, "Would you like to put your products in my shop?" It was a ladies' wear shop. So I was like, "Oh, okay, how's that gonna work?" But she said she'd noticed how many families were in the area, how many people with small children. She was convinced it was going to work, so she set aside an area of this shop, and she called it 9 months later. So she had the ladies' wear in the main area, and then a little section at the back called 9 months later, and that was my bit with all my little bits in, and it just went from there. It sold really, really well. I kept having to sort of replenish her with stock, which was great. She then made a phone call to me one day, completely out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it, saying, "I don't wanna do it anymore. It's not working for me. How would you feel about taking over the shop?" And my first instinct was, "Oh, no, I can't me? Little old man who sits at home and sews on my dining table." But then, as these things normally happen, my brain started. I said no, and I went to bed, and I woke up, and then the little sort of cog started turning, and I thought, maybe, but how am I gonna fill this huge shop with my few things? But then I realised how many people I knew who were doing similar things from home with children. So I contacted all my mum friends who were making different bits and bobs, and got a little community together. And so it was, to start with, it was my product
Yeah.
and other
Oh,
mums'
wonderful.
products all in the shop. And we filled the shop. Although when I look back now at photos of the shop,
Oh.
then it looks so empty, like compared to now, because I can
Yes.
fill it hugely now. But yeah, we've all got to start from somewhere, and that's how it began. And it was organic, and it wasn't in the plan, but it worked for me. And like I said, it was my lifeline at the time. And I do think sometimes, not always, sometimes things do come along when you need them to.
Like you say, an opportunity presents itself, and at first there is that self-doubt, isn't there? "Oh, well, why me?" And I know that you shared something from one of my stories recently about, why not me?
Why not me? I love that. Yeah, and I've never heard that before or thought that before.
Why not you? Why can't
Yeah.
you have a shop? Why can't you, the clothing range that you have, I mean, they're so, like, all of the products are so beautiful. Like, there's leggings, there's jumpers, there's
Oh,
T-shirts, there's
thank
gifts,
you.
there's books, there's all sorts of things. Do you want to talk through, like, how the business sort of started to grow then?
Having the shop gave me the time away from home, the time to just concentrate on what I was doing. So when I was working from home to start with, it was so difficult. And there's so many mums out there trying to do the same, and it's so hard. Your brain can't focus on just one thing at one time. Everything's there. You've got the housework, you've got the kids, you've got the dinner needs cooking, you've got work needs doing, my brain wouldn't cope with that. So straight away, having the shop gave me that focus. From the more time I came in the morning to when I closed in the evening, I just constantly thought I was focused on product and and I needed to fill the space. I had a really gorgeous space, and also organically the products have grown due to demand, I would say. So somebody would come in and go, "Oh, do you do dresses?" And I'd go, "No, but actually there's no reason why we can't do dresses." So I would create a pattern for a dress, and we do dresses. and the product range has grown that much from just me being able to gauge what people are wanting and coming in and asking for. So we have, I'm going to look around a little bit now just to jog my memory of everything that we've got. So we have, yeah, so we do dresses, we do play suits, we do dungarees, hats, dribble bibs, sweatshirts, gorgeous little cutie baby. We call them bubble rompers for the summer. So they're just like little slip-on, little short legs and quite sort of full. And I set up the printing side of I didn't always do the printing actually. So that's another quite a big development because that's worked so well for us. I taught myself how to do the printing good 5 years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago. And that's gone from strength to strength. So we now offer personalization. People can come in and go, oh, I've seen this idea online. Is that something you could do for us? And I'll do an adaptation of it and work to their brief. So we do that. And it also means, one big thing people were asking for were tops to go with everything that we made. So obviously we started off with the leggings and the dungarees and everything. Well, have you got a top to go with that? And it was like, no, I don't really. And then obviously I noticed that was a huge gap in what I was selling. So set up the printing side, which means that now I can do the full range. I can, create a full range. Everything has a top to go with it. And we've got big sister, little sister, big brother, little brother. So sibling tops, they sell brilliantly. Birthday t-shirts. It's just to be honest, being completely honest, it's grown beyond my capacity now because it's still just me.
You need somebody to help you.
And my mum does, my mum does 2 days a week because I daren't push her too much and put her off and make her leave. So she does 2 days a week. And other than that, it's still just me after all this time. And the amount of products that I'll have and the growth of the ranges and the amount of fabrics that we buy in is huge now, and it's still just me. So I'm sort of driving myself a little bit bonkers with it now, but it does still keep growing. I don't want to stop it from growing. So
you have to be mindful of not burning out. It is just a constant reframing and reflection process, isn't it? Of what's next, what's next in the journey. So,
and I'm really good at just rolling with things. I know you probably got that impression from, how it was never a plan for the shop, and I'm kind of just rolling with it and I'm growing with it. And I just love how things can be so organic. Maybe that's my creative brain because I don't really have that logistical planning sort of brain.
I was going to say, come on now. Like, you're running a business.
Again, it's that imposter syndrome. I'm like, me, businesswoman. It's because it's happened slowly and organically as well over the last 12 years. I think when you're in the process, you don't get to sit back and look at your achievements or where you've grown to because you're in it and you're living it. I think makes it harder. And then people say, you're an entrepreneur. And I'm like, no. Me?
You are an entrepreneur. What have you learned about yourself?
I've learned how resilient I can be in the face of adversity, I think. Just moving with things. We had COVID, the shop had to close. And I, again, didn't have a plan. I just thought the shop would close. I was like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to have a business for an infinite amount of time. We started making face masks and it blew up. So I think we had, in the first week, over 1,000 orders for face masks. And then also, because people couldn't go out shopping, I was getting messages all day long. I need a birthday t-shirt. I need a present. I need a new baby gift. So we continued trading. When the first announcement came out, I was like, oh God, that's it. What am I going to do? My business is closing for good for a while. But it just kept going. And people, I can't thank my customers enough for keeping me going because it's because of them that they wanted to keep buying from me. So me and my mum were still coming in throughout COVID, and it was ridiculous thinking about it. We were in here with the lights off because we were so frightened that we'd be caught out, like being here, because you weren't allowed to go to work unless it was essential. And baby clothes aren't essential, but and we were driving to work and it was apocalyptic because the roads were empty. We were getting here in 10 minutes. And joking about how we wish it was like this all the time because there was no traffic. It was just bizarre, like thinking back to those times. But organically, again, it just kept going.
There would have been a lot of families out there that would have been really struggling for those essentials. And even just, like you say, the relationship that you have with your customers and that community is what actually got us through COVID. You were the lifeline for lots of people as well, I should imagine.
I think so. I think even just the connection of being on their doorstep, we were social distancing, but I was stood on their doorstep, and we both might have been the first person that each one had spoken to for days. So there was that there as well. And I think going back to the essential, baby clothes being essential, they are 100%. I think because mine are handmade, a bit more sort of luxury, mine aren't classed as essentials really, because they could have just gone to Amazon. They could have just had a home delivery. They could have just had the delivery. So the fact that people do still choose my clothes is just, I can't comprehend it. It's lovely.
Well, it's a testament to the quality of the clothes and the fact that they know you and they have that relationship with you. I think that's the thing, isn't it?
It's that person to person I think, because there's been a lot of times people have said to me, because I do say I am very open about how difficult retail is, and they go, "Oh, you can just go online." But for me, I'd lose that personable side of it then, and I'd go back to where I was before, which was just sat at home without that interaction.
Obviously, you've talked a little bit about always being inspired by your mum, who was a maker, or who is a maker, a designer. What inspires you? Any artwork or painter or illustrator or fashion designer? Who do you look at and go, oh, that has inspired me today, it brings me joy?
I couldn't give you one particular movement or painter or designer. The way my brain works, and I don't know if this is normal or not, or whether, because I've lived with it, I'm not telling you how many, I can be inspired because I've got such a creative brain. I can be inspired by, I could be sat drinking a cup of tea and my mug can be a particular colour and then my top can be another colour, and I can just look and think, wow, like my brain captures like images and moments, and those I think that maybe it's red and maybe it's turquoise, and I'll be like, oh, but that red and that turquoise work so brilliantly together. So I'm constantly, wherever I go and wherever I look, my brain is taking in these little nuggets of colour and pattern, or somebody might walk past the window in an outfit and I'll go, oh my God, look at that stripe print they're wearing with that blue, so it's not people, it's not famous painters, artists, movements for me. It's life or like food packaging, book covers, anything and there's this, it's almost like there's a section at the back of my brain that collects all these nuggets of inspiration, and it might come out at a later date. I might even not have realized that I've retained that information, and then I'll do a design or an outfit and I'll think, God, that's from that thing I saw like last year. But so that's how I work. I've got no idea, and that's how anybody else works.
Well, it doesn't matter if anyone else works like that. That's the way that your brain works, and it's just incredible, isn't it? Like, I love that, inspired by life. Anything that you see, anything around you, combinations of colours and patterns, and this
Yeah.
idea of collating all of that information and inspiration, and then, letting that play out in an outfit or a print or whatever it is. For me, I don't know about you, but as I'm getting older, I'm trusting my instincts a little bit more, and I'm really going for it, and it's almost like you're in constant creative flow.
Yeah. And you don't question yourself as much, I think, when you get older. I think you have more confidence in your own ideas and your own sort of thought
Yeah.
processes. I'm finding a little bit.
It's magical, isn't it, when that happens? You think you're the only one that experiences it?
Yeah, it is. It's brilliant. But it does mean your brain never stops, though. Even when you
Yeah.
think you're, it's always picking up on these little minuscule signs of and ideas and things like
Mm.
that. So it does never stop.
Mm. The fact that Snuggles and Kisses continues to grow, and it is only you. Like, when you look ahead in
Mm.
the future, is there a particular sort of ideal, or are you quite happy now with just going with the flow?
I've got to an age. I've switched quite massively in as getting older. I used to pre-children. I was, and when my children were young as well, I was very, very career driven, very sort of climbing the ladder kind of mindset. Um, and I now just want that balance in life. So I know how the business is now. I know I could grow it if I wanted to scale it up. I could get staff in. I could open another shop. I could do all that. But I'm at the in a point of my life where I don't really want to add any extra stress to it. So, and I think there's a power in admitting that because I think everybody expects you to want to earn the most money you can, build it as big as you can, be worldwide, have a team of staff. But then I think sometimes you have to sort of do what's best for you and your own well-being and your own life. And this fits into my life so brilliantly and the kids' lives. Um, and I don't know if I want to make my life any harder than it already is. Uh, I think, and I've accepted that now. After years of thinking, how can I grow? How can I do this? Why am I not as big as that company? Or why are they opening another shop and I'm not? I think I'm happy with how it is at the moment. It brings me joy in the most part. And it fits it. My work-life balance is great. I'd rather not be here on weekends because I will open on Saturdays, but that's not huge in the grand scheme of things. Now my kids are at an age where they want to go out with their friends on a weekend, so that's not as important now. So yeah, I'm happy as always to go with the flow. Maybe I shouldn't go with the flow so much. Maybe I do need to plan more. But it has worked so far. It's still working now. And I'm always thinking, what if I have to close? What would I do? And there's a few backup plans there. I'm not so go with the flow that I'd never have a backup plan. Um, but but yeah, it's working well at the moment. And I think I'm just really want to focus on growing the ranges, growing the product, and growing just awareness. I don't want to grow it exponentially. I don't want to be gigantic. I don't want to be huge, but growing awareness. I still get people coming in who don't know about me. Yesterday I had some customers in saying, "Oh, I didn't know you were here." And it's hard without spending hundreds of thousands of pounds on advertising. It's really difficult to get that awareness. But word of mouth works brilliantly for me. Mums tell other mums.
Yeah, I really respect that you've said, actually this is okay. I'm okay with this. Like, I'm happy. It brings me joy, and that word balance, I think, as a mum, you're constantly trying to balance all of the hats that we wear. I saw your post recently when you were lying on the floor, and you were like, running a business, cost of living crisis, trying to make TikToks like I'm 12, or 15, whatever it was.
It's crazy. Yeah. And when you sit back and think about all the aspects involved in running a business, if you think how many teams would normally be in place to run a business, and as a self-employed, as a sole trader, you're doing it all, as well as holding everything together at home with the children and the school schedules and
And
everything
the
else
WhatsApp
involved in
groups.
life. WhatsApp groups. And trying to be a good friend and hoping that your friends don't like leave you because you haven't spoken to them in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And trying to have a social life, trying to be healthy, trying to get to the gym, when you start to think of everything, as well as the stuff you need to do to actually run the business is immense. But then when you think of everything outside of that, I think we don't pat ourselves on the back often enough. And I think we find it hard, and then you think, why am I finding it hard? And then I think, well, that's why. Like, that's why everybody's finding it hard. Whereas if you work for a big company, that big company has an IT department and a HR department and people to help you with every aspect of your job if you get stuck. And there's marketing and there's sales but we're doing all of that, all of it, and don't give ourselves enough credit, I think, sometimes.